Greetings and welcome to Kalinran's Let's Play of Cold Waters. This is actually an interesting game to me because this was actually the game. Well, there was a couple of YouTubers as well, but this was actually the game that sort of got me into the idea of actually recording games. One of the games that got me into the idea of actually recording games, but I remember watching a video on this game by the Mighty Jingles, who's a YouTuber that I tend to watch a lot because of World of Tanks, and some other games along that line, World of Warships, yada yada yada, military type games, and I always liked the Mighty Jingles, but he actually mentioned another YouTuber by the name of Jive Turkey, who I actually was introduced to through that video of the Mighty Jingles talking about Jive Turkey, and I ended up really getting a kick out of not only this game, but Jive Turkey and the Mighty Jingles because of this game as well. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like kind of up my alley a bit. I really liked the Silent Hunter series back in the day. I remember buying my first DVD-ROM DVD-ROM drive just so I could buy Silent Hunter 3, just so I could play it on my really crappy PC that I had back in the day. But yeah, that was a solid game. That was very very immersive. I would say even compared to this, in some ways, it's a bit more immersive. But yeah, I like submarine games. They're just neat. This one's a little bit more modern than Silent Hunter 3. It's mostly Cold War era, so thus Cold Waters there. But there's two campaigns. One of them is the 68 campaign, which I have played a little bit, but it's a bit challenging because submarines in that era don't have a towed array, so it's really hard to see anything. And also the selection of torpedoes of that era is dismal at best. Yeah, I remember playing one where there's basically two types of torpedoes that NATO used, and I can't remember the exact designations. I want to say like Mark 42 and Mark 36 or something like that, but one of them was a very small warhead, very slow, but heat-seeking torpedo. Well, not heat-seeking, but it actually could seek a target, whereas the other one was kind of a fire and forget, fly in a straight line, swim, I guess, in a straight line sort of torpedo, and so you had to kind of use a combination of the two. You could use some of the strategies I would use the straight shooting torpedo, the bigger one, to sort of force an enemy ship or a submarine to turn into my slower seeker torpedo. But it was funny because I would also be in situations where the slower seeker torpedo would just circle, trying to get a ship that was circling as well, and just could never catch up to it, and the ship would literally just keep circling until it ran out of fuel, which was amusing, but also didn't really give me the results that I wanted. So for the most part, I stick to the 84 campaign because not only is the technology a bit greater, you got the towed arrays and you got the wonderful Mark 48 torpedo, but also that is the decade that I was born in, so I'm just a little bit more partial to that decade. I do currently have a game going in that campaign, but I'm actually, for the purpose of this video, going to overwrite it and start a brand new one from the ground up, just because why not? Everybody would like to see a campaign start from the beginning, right? I know this is a little bit different than the normal videos that we do on Yank and Brit Play Venture Time. Nyrox is currently doing the Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition. I'm currently doing World of Zine with the intentions of doing a couple other games as well. But this is gonna be not a scheduled or whatever thing video series. It's just gonna be, I'm gonna do this whenever I feel like doing it, kind of thing. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy. So here's gonna say that here's my new one, so I'm gonna start a new one, and my commander name, typically I used to go as Ready Aim Fire, but in the interest of consistency, we're gonna go with Kalinran Ready Aim Fire. Haha. Boy, am I just gonna be randomly going on here, but I remember playing a game in the early 90s called Gangsters Organized Crime, and all the characters in that game had a first name, a last name, and then a nickname in the middle, and I always kind of thought that was neat. But that game was more like, you know, gangsters in the 30s, so it's all like, you know, Larry the Mouse Capone or something, But whatever. Let's move on. This file exists. Overwrite. Yep. Alright, so typically, I remember when I first started playing this, I was very partial to the Narwhal class submarine because they only made one, and it was at the time, and even at the time of this campaign, 84, the quietest submarine that the U.S. had produced. And I always was fascinated by the fact that they only made one of them. So, and there's almost nothing available as far as you know, what its capabilities are, what it has done, you know, its service records, that sort of thing. And I think it was only recently retired, like early 2000s or something like that. But anyway, I always liked the Narwhal. I started out usually playing as the Narwhal, but watching to the Jive Turkey and the Mighty Jingles, they tend to stick to, from what I've seen at least, the Los Angeles class, which is a very sophisticated class of boat. And unfortunately, the 84 campaign, we don't have access to the Seawolf or the more modern Virginia class. But the Los Angeles, I've been playing quite a bit. It's a very great submarine. Very, very fond of it. The other classes that are available, the Sturgeon class, the Permit, and the Skipjack, are a bit dated for my liking. They're a bit slower. The Skipjack only has access to one wire, and what the wire is, it's a connection between your sub and your torpedo, so that you can actually guide it to a target, which it can break. So it can only have one systematic or simultaneous wire out there, whereas if you look at like the Permit class, 2 wires, Sturgeon class, 2 wires, Narwhal, 2 wires, Los Angeles, 4 wires, and it has 4 torpedo tubes, so you can have a wire on every one of your torpedo tubes. So I think the Los Angeles is a very capable sub, but in the interest of keeping it interesting, and because there is only one Narwhal, I think I'm going to start with the Narwhal. And what's interesting about this game too is it actually has a bit of a database built in, so it keeps track of all of the submarines that are available. So if I like just get the Narwhal basically disabled or destroyed or whatever you want to call a submarine that's still holding or still containing cabin pressure but is like lost at sea, there's just no way that you could get it back into service. The game registers that, okay, you lost the Narwhal, USS Narwhal, which is the only Narwhal class. Pick another sub. Oh, there is no more Narwhal for you to choose. So now I would pick something like the Los Angeles class, and I might get like the Cincinnati or something. And if I lost that, I would no longer have access to the Cincinnati. I would still have the rest of the Los Angeles classes in that database, but I would not be able to use the Cincinnati. So I found that very cool. I'm glad that the developers have done something that immersive. But yeah, so the Narwhal is quieter than the Los Angeles. It does have access to the same types of weapons, but the radar is a bit different. It's also a smaller boat, but it's also a slower boat. Its max speed is 25 knots compared to the 33 knots of the Los Angeles class, and I think that combined with the fact that it has half the wires makes it kind of a more difficult sub to play. But the way I like to play is I like to exploit the quietness, the stealth of the subs. During the Cold War, there was you would see, not that I was there, it was actually fairly commonplace for a NATO sub, and it was also a Soviet sub, back and forth, where if the NATO sub was tailing a Soviet sub, they would just kind of watch and observe for a bit. But if you're tailing them, they can't see you. They don't have a sonar behind them. So anything, they call it the baffles, and that's anything behind you is your baffles, and you can't see anything there. So if you got behind an enemy submarine, you could follow them. And it was actually commonplace to, after following them for a bit, to give them a hit with the active sonar ping, just so that they know, oh, son of a gun, somebody's been chasing us. And then the crazy Ivan maneuver would be pulled which is basically clearing your baffles, where you start turning left and right to try to get an idea of what is behind you by getting your sonar to actually reach in that direction. So anyway, that's enough history lesson there. I'm going to take the narwhal, and I am Commander Kalinran, ready aim fire of the Narwhal, USS Narwhal, SSN 671. Let's go. There we go. Ronald Reagan. So what will Reaganism mean for U.S. relations, foreign relations? Foreign relations. New President-elect Ronald Reagan has begun his term in office by taking a harsh stance against the Soviet Union. The former California governor, once a Democrat, is reputed for his anti-communist stance and for rooting out communist sympathizers in Hollywood in the 1950s. The new U.S. president is regarded with suspicion in the Kremlin. Politburo sources claim that President Reagan is regarded as somewhat of a cowboy whose presidency risks spurring controversy and conflict instead of a confrontation of a more detente-oriented policies of Jimmy Carter. And there's an A-10 Warhog there, which is one of my favorite aircraft. Brezhnev. Legacy, Stagnation, and Paranoia. Analysis. The death of General Secretary Leonid Brezhnev is sure to result in considerable debate behind the Kremlin walls. The last debate has been one of stagnation and increased bureaucratization of the Soviet colossus. An unnamed diplomatic source has quoted in the recent Time article stating that the constant provocations from the Reagan administration has created an elevated and permanent anxiety concerning American aggression within the Politburo. President Reagan should think it over. It is dangerous. So we got a bit of rhetoric going on here. Provoking the bear, is Reagan pushing too hard? Opinion. With the recent announcement of the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, several independent political and security analysts are expressing a growing concern that the Reagan administration may be pressing the Soviets too hard. Tension between the Soviet Union and the U.S. are continually increasing. The increased U.S. military spending allowed by Reagan's administration denunciation of the President Reagan's denunciation of the Soviet Union as an evil empire raises the question of just how the Kremlin will react. Soviets down a civilian airliner. And interestingly enough, this actually was a this actually historically happened. Like, the game is built on possible scenarios that could have happened during the Cold War that could have turned the Cold War hot. And this is one of them. But a lot of this is actually things that happen, so I like the way that they set that up. International outrage as the Soviet Air Force shoots down a Korean Airlines aircraft over the Sakhalin Islands. All 269 passengers and crew aboard were killed. The Politburo issued a statement claiming that the flight KAL-007 was on a spy mission on behalf of the United States. We regard this as a deliberate provocation to test our military preparedness, or even an attempt to provoke a war, the Soviet Minister of Defense said. Tensions between Washington and Moscow are now elevated to a degree not seen since the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. Overall military readiness is heightened as NATO exercises in the Pacific and the Atlantic are denounced by the Soviet Union as deliberate imperialistic provocations. Or imperialist provocations. Sounds familiar. We've seen this before. We're seeing this now in a Wentman anyways. Pershing missiles deployed in West Germany. Deployment of the new Pershing II nuclear ballistic missiles has commenced in locations around western Germany. The introductions of this upgraded medium-range tactical nuclear missile into the United States arsenal has already been the cause of considerable controversy between NATO and the Warsaw Pact, as well as within Germany itself. Independent political analysts agree that the continuous escalation of the arms race, each side's fears of the other side's technical superiority, and the strong anti-Soviet rhetoric of the Reagan administration all adds up to a volatile situation. Moscow's latest threat to withdraw from further arms control negotiations is seen as a particularly disturbing turn of events. The question looming over Europe is how the Soviet Union might react should it consider its diplomatic options to be exhausted. Soviets thought nuclear drill Able Archer was real. Washington. In a congressional hearing today, the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, Lieutenant General James B. Williamson, told the Senate that the DIA's assessment of the Soviet response to the NATO Able Archer 83 exercise, which was held last November, General Williamson told a story that is a little too close to comfort. The DIA has concluded that the Soviet Union, for a short while, actually believed the United States was preparing for a first strike nuclear attack, using the exercise as cover. Thus, the Soviet strategic nuclear forces were placed on high alert for at least a week. The strong reaction corroborates. I want to put an L in there for some reason. The strained diplomatic relations between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, years of terse anti-communist rhetoric, deployment of advanced new nuclear weapons, and the outspoken ideological friendship between President Reagan and British Prime Minister Thatcher is said to have caused considerable fear among the Soviet leadership. Soviets attack, war declared. Soviet infantry and armored vehicles units, supported by airstrikes today, have stormed through the Fulda Gap region of western Germany, penetrating the inner German border in a surprise attack. Initial negotiation attempts rapidly broke out into the state of war has officially been declared between NATO countries and the Soviet Union. NATO losses are reportedly high. In the United States, military forces have been fully mobilized, and convoys loaded with men, materials, and arms have already begun to cross the Atlantic. President Reagan addressed the nation, stating the full might of the United States Army, Marines, Air Force, and Navy will be brought to bear on this unprovoked attack. And here we are. So, our first mission. Oh, I should mention too, there's, I think 4 levels of difficulty on the game, and I'm playing on the realistic difficulty. There is a difficulty that's slightly higher than realistic, but, I don't know, like, I kind of like the name realistic, and the, everything that realistic represents just kind of feels more, for lack of better words, realistic to me. The elite, I think it is, difficulty is just really just designed to just kind of make the game as hard as possible within the realm of reality still, but I just kind of lean toward realism for the sake of realism, as stupid as that sounds. So anyway, intelligence estimates indicate that enemy Spetsnaz commandos will land from submarine in the vicinity of Reykjavik and Keflavik within the next week. You are ordered to intercept and eliminate them before they land. Locate and sink the enemy submarines transporting the Spetsnaz commandos. Secondary objective, locate and sink any escort submarines if possible. Avoid detection by the enemy ASW patrols. Weapons free. Econ, maintain radio silence until otherwise directed. So, I don't want to read arm or anything like that. Let's head on out. This is 24th of December 1984. So Reykjavik is going to be up by Iceland. We're going to be looking for any sign of Soviet submarines in the area. Having played this several times too, I've never seen Iceland get captured, because I've always managed to successfully stave off the attack. No signs yet, though. I got a bunch of ASW patrols flying overhead. That may be them there, down by Norway. Well, maybe not, because that's quite a few subs. Oop, I think that is our target there. Maybe not. There we go. That's going to be our target. Huh. They're being very cautious, which, you know, I can't blame them. West Germany conquered. The Warsaw Pact forces are now in total control of West Germany after massive and brutal assaults. The aggressors are demanding an unilateral ceasefire and immediate handover of power by the political leadership of the country. In this week's edition of the International Defense Journal, General McGillen, I know, I kind of know what that is, but I'm not going to try. Writes on why neither side can claim to be winning. Activity on the Atlantic remains high as the Soviets and NATO fleets contest the control of the vital sea lanes and ports. So, yeah, we haven't even fired a shot yet in this war, and West Germany has fallen. I'm worried about that one up there. There's so many subs out here. Oh, there, yeah, that's him right there. Sneaky, sneaky. Here we go. Oh. Okay, so we failed that. Interesting. Sabotage. Numerous large explosions have erupted in and around Reykjavik and Keflavik, Iceland. At first assumed to be Soviet air or cruise missile strike, questions arise. Several witnesses at the scene confirm heavy gunfire. NATO spokesman refused to comment on the situation. So that's kind of annoying. I've never seen them actually go the northern route before. So maybe some of the recent updates that they've had on the game have led to that. Recent Soviet port activity indicates that a wolf pack of enemy cruise missile subs will sail from Murmansk within the next 2 to 4 days and likely attempt to transit the Denmark Strait, after which they will likely interdict NATO convoys in the Atlantic. Be advised, enemy SSGNs, likely escorted by 1 or more attack subs. Now this is more like it. The Denmark Strait is very easy for us to protect. So all I have to do is really sit here and wait. Which is good, because the narwhal is not a fast boat by any means. And it should be deep enough that I can actually make use of hopefully a thermal layer, or just the depth in general. Norway under fire. This morning, Warsaw Pact troops crossed the border into Norway. Spearhead divisions surged directly toward major bridges, railroad crossings, and airfields in what seemed to be a well-prepared and orchestrated attack. The Soviet state news agency TASS yesterday released pictures of what are claimed to be canisters of nerve agent artillery shells found in an abandoned NATO army post near northern Norway. Washington officials immediately disclaimed the findings as an obvious hoax. It does sound so familiar, like, even by today. I mean, you just see that kind of stuff going on all the time. War and just everybody making up crap about the other side, and it's pretty sad. So I believe that's our target there. There he is. There we go. Finally, we got ourselves some action. Yeah, we got Mark 48, so I'm gonna load a Moss into one of them. And what the Moss is... Okay, they changed this a little bit. What the Moss is it simulates a submarine. And, Interesting. I thought clicking would be all I need to do there, but I guess not. Oh, I gotta hit R to reload, just like in the game. Good job. Good job, Kyle. Kalinran. Alright, so I think that'll do. So I have 3 torpedoes at the ready, and then my single Moss. And wow, the Narwhal doesn't carry anywhere near as many torpedoes as the Los Angeles. It's been so while since I played it. Alright, so I'm going to close to 15 kilometers, just because the Narwhal is pretty stealthy. And I'm immediately...
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
Rig for ultra quiet. So let's see what we got for the conditions here. We got a weak duct and a strong layer. Do we have any contacts yet? We do not. And it's very deep here, so good. I'm gonna leave the speed as is.
Make depth 100 feet. Dive high.
some subs. So there's really no reason to surface here because
Con, dive at 100 feet, dive I.
we've been told that it's a submersible group. So there's no reason to poke the ESM mast or the periscope up. Forget what time compression was. Let's check that real quick. Time compression F9, alright.
Con, sonar, new contact bearing 326.
He's behind us.
Designated Sierra 1.
Alright, let's figure out what he is. Oh, going down to Wales. It's looking very much like a... It can't be a Delta 3. No, I don't think it's a Delta.
Con, sonar, lost contact. Sierra 1. Last bearing 325. Contact faded.
Well, we need to figure out where he's at, so let's shoot down a little bit in depth.
Make depth 200 feet, dive I.
Because I kind of want to use speed to get back around to where he is at, because I don't like him being behind me. He's in my... roughly in my baffles.
Con, dive at 250 feet, dive I.
We should be pretty close to spun around. One thing I could do now is launch the Moss roughly in his direction to try to get him to attack it, which would reveal his position more easily to me. But, I like to keep those in emergency situations. I didn't even notice the, oh, it's really loud here too, decibels of 116, so I think I'm gonna speed up just a touch.
Make turns for 5 knots. Maneuvering. Make turns for 5 knots. Maneuvering I.
Used to work. Is it because I'm in ultra quiet?
Make turns for 5 knots. Maneuvering I.
There we go. Okay, because I was rigged for ultra quiet.
Make turns for 6 knots. Maneuvering. Make turns for 10 knots. Maneuvering I.
That's interesting, because that wasn't a thing before either.
Con, maneuvering. Making turns for 10
you could
knots.
you could actually rig for ultra quiet and then set your speed higher than ultra quiet speed, and it would just correct itself, which I always thought was interesting. But anyway, let's try to get roughly where we spotted him before. Alright, I'm gonna actually slow down again. Yeah.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
Let's go ultra quiet. Because the faster I'm going, the harder it is to hear other things, other submarines and their motions, and also because I'm
Con maneuvering, making turns for 7 knots.
below the strong layer. If he's above the layer, it's going to be very hard to hear him. So I think what we're going to do is, now that we're at ultra quiet again, let's head back up to above the duct.
Make depth 100 feet. Dive by. Con, dive at 100 feet. Dive by.
There we go. So we just... that might be a surface vessel. I doubt it, but... Alright, so we got a Charlie... I'm gonna label that as a Charlie 2, I think.
Con sonar, Sierra 1 is classified as submerged submarine.
So we don't really have a good solution yet. Our solution's about 45%. He's going 24... he's gotta be on the surface. If he's going 24 kilometers, he's gotta be... wow. But he should be... oh, that's also because my solution's crap. He might not be going 24 kilometers. Would be my understanding there. But, yeah, that's gotta be wrong. Because he'd be cavitating right now.
Con sonar lost contact. Sierra 1, last bearing 287. Contact faded.
I don't like that. I also don't like that he's the only one that we've seen so far, because if that is indeed a Charlie 2, that's not an attack sub, and he very well may have attack subs in the area. In fact,
Con sonar regained contact on Sierra 1, bearing 281.
in fact, I would almost guarantee it. He's still a fair distance out there if my solutions are accurate in any way, shape, or form. It makes me somewhat tempted to launch a Moss and see what he and his allies do. And the other thing is, too, is given how quiet the narwhal is, and that I've been rigged for ultra quiet virtually the entire time, there's no way that they have even an inkling that I'm here. I know that there's at least one submarine here. I haven't spotted the rest of them. These conditions are absolute garbage for trying to spot submarines. If I was in Los Angeles, I might be having a little bit of a different result, but... let's try to get almost fully sideways with him and see if the towed array will pick anything up. Almost half tempted to blind fire a torpedo out there instead of a Moss. Man, I would have hoped to have had a solution on him by now. The reason I keep turning back and forth is because that actually helps you get like a triangulation of their position for your sonar. It just helps improve your solution if you do have them, and to my understanding helps find them so that you can start developing a solution on them. Just out of curiosity, yeah, no vessels are nearby. So I think at this point I'm just gonna fire a Moss and see what happens.
Shoot 2-4. Aye, sir.
And let's load that up with a another Mark 48. Because that, at the very least, might spook them into starting to cavitate and make it a little bit easier for me to locate them.
Torpedo room, tube 4 ready.
Oh, scared the crap out of me. Nothing. It's just way too loud here to pick up anything. Haven't detected any active sonar, any launch transients, nothing. Very surprised by that. That should have at least got some attention. If I could get another position, I might dive deep and kind of fire a torpedo in that general location just to see if A, it'll lock onto something and maybe take it out, and B, if they'll actually react by trying to fire a torpedo in where they think I might be based off of that. But yeah, interesting. I really don't want to go active with my sonar because that's basically telling everybody, hey, I'm here, while simultaneously trying to figure out where they're at. So that's a very dangerous maneuver. This is very interesting. Very surprised at the lack of anything right now. Let's go beneath the layer. Oop, wrong way. Let's go down to about a depth of 450. 500.
Make depth 500 feet, dive by.
We're gonna come out of ultra quiet when we get a little deeper. In fact, let's go even deeper than that. Let's go down to about 800, which is pretty darn deep.
Make depth 800 feet, dive by.
Alright, so we're gonna come out of ultra
Rig
quiet.
shift for ultra quiet.
Nope. Right, there we go. Let's knock up the speed to about
Passing 600
20
feet.
knots.
Make turns for 20 knots. Maneuvering aye.
We shouldn't cavitate at this depth at 20 knots.
Passing 700 feet.
Con, maneuvering. Making turns for
Passing 800 feet. Passing 900 feet.
Why are we still hang on. Why are we still sinking?
Passing 1,000 feet. Make depth 700 feet, dive by.
Yeah, we don't want to go too deep, guys.
Make depth 800 feet, dive by.
Not sure what the heck happened there. Something got messed up, because, yeah, we go too deep, we have explosive decompression and die. Not really what I'm aiming for. I think what might have freaked it out was they might have set the planes when I picked a depth, and then when I changed the speed that we're going at, it just kind of, I don't know, that was really weird. The ballast was still very minus as well, or into the negative as well, and it just kept going down, so I don't know what the heck that was all about.
Passing 800 feet.
There we go.
make turns for 25 knots. Maneuvering aye.
We're definitely not going to be able to detect anything going at our full speed, but I really want to catch up to roughly where they should be at this point, so that I can come up to the surface and maybe spot something. Maybe we'll ping on active a little bit in a very desperate bid to find them.
Con, maneuvering, making turns for 25 knots.
There's actually another thing I want to check real quick. The Charlie is a semi-quiet sub. Compared to our submarine, which is a very quiet. So our submarine is actually quieter than the current ambient noise in this area. That's insane. I mean, granted, right now we're probably not so quiet, but alright, well. I'm going to continue in this direction for a bit, and then, not surface, but we're going to go very, very high. Probably right about here. So let's,
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
rig for ultra quiet, and get up to about 100 feet again.
Make depth 100 feet, dive by.
Without breaching the surface. So hopefully my ballast corrects itself. There it goes. There we go.
Con, dive at 100 feet. Dive I.
So, nothing yet. This is quite frustrating.
Con sonar, switching to active search.
Do a couple of pings on active and see if we kind of come up with anything.
Con sonar, switching to passive search.
Nothing on active. Yeah, there's just nothing here. Thought I heard something behind me. Might have been just ambient noise. Yeah, there's just nothing. I think I probably should have closed the distance to 10 kilometers instead of 15 before engaging, because the narwhal being as slow as it is.
Con sonar, switching to active search. Con sonar, switching to passive search.
Gonna try one more thing here.
Make depth 200 feet. Dive I.
Go down to 250 and do the same thing. Because it is possible that they are below the layer. And that would make sense considering they were traversing the Denmark Strait, which is a fairly heavily patrolled NATO location. Alright.
Con sonar, switching to active search.
Con, dive at 250 feet. Dive I.
One more ping and then we'll wait.
Con sonar, switching to passive search.
It is eerily quiet. It's quiet. Too quiet. But I mean, the fact that I can leave the area right now, because there's not any vessels, weapons, aircraft, or flooding going on, is slightly disconcerting. Yeah, I think we're just gonna cut our losses. Oh, it was a Victor. So I identified it as a Charlie 2, but it was a Victor. Oh well. Disappointed in your lack of success, other assets will try to save your mess. Be more aggressive, stand by for new orders. Yeah, well... Convoy hit. Several transit lines. That's one thing about the game that kind of bugs me a little bit, is if you miss the one opportunity, you can't like hunt them down and try it again. It's automatically, you failed. But I mean, I guess it's for balance probably, because if you find them and then they escape, you can just hit them again right away on the overworld map here. Alright, what's the next mission? Intelligence has discerned a pattern of movements of enemy at-sea replenishment tankers. Now this is more like it. Something that's easier to detect, and surface vessels. Surface vessels make a lot more noise. A small enemy force, including 1 or 2 of these ships, is expected to sail from Archangelsk, I don't know how to pronounce that, shortly for a rendezvous somewhere in the Greenland Sea. You are ordered to find and sink the group. You may also get a chance at the enemy warships this group is intended to support, but tenders and tankers are the high priority. So let's get our butts over to where that should be taking place. Because we've had a disappointing campaign so far. Ooh. I got jumped on my way there. Alright. Let's load the moss in that one. And...
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
okay. So we got a couple of contacts. What are the conditions? Very quiet. Excellent. That one looks like a... No, that's not a Juliet. That's a Foxtrot.
Con sonar, Sierra 2 is classified as submerged submarine.
That one we don't really have a good deal of information on, so let's dip down a little bit.
Make depth 100 feet, dive I.
Let's go 150.
Make depth 150 feet, dive I.
Foxtrot's a very old Soviet sub, so the odds of him hearing anything from me is not very likely. I do want to figure out what Sierra 1 is, though, for my own self-preservationist ways. That's almost looking like a Foxtrot as well. Can't quite make out the final line, but excuse me. Yeah. Let's mark him a Foxtrot.
Con sonar, Sierra.
Con, dive at 150 feet, dive I.
Thanks for interrupting sonar. Come on. Alright, well, let's get a fix on Sierra 2. We are slowly getting a better targeting solution. I feel like we might finally have an action-packed episode here. Or mission, I should say, because it's probably all still going to be part of the first episode. We're an hour in already, and I haven't fired anything other than a Moss. Alright, there we go. So we got a very decent targeting solution right now. Still, I mean, it wouldn't be a visual in real world terms, but still no visual in-game to represent. That way you pretty much know exactly where he is and what he's doing. But, what's his depth? His depth is quite a bit lower than us, so let's sink down a bit. He's at around 450.
Make depth 400 feet. Dive high.
So I can't quite see him. Oh, that's close. 93% targeting solution. There we go. We have a visual. And it is indeed a foxtrot. There he is, right up there. What's another interesting thing about this game is there's an option that you could like alter the scale of how things look size-wise compared to how far away they are, and I currently have it set to 1:1, so it should be, to my understanding, an accurate representation of the distances as to what it would be IRL. So right now we have more than enough of a targeting. You know, I think it would probably be prudent to take him out once we're done diving here. How's the other guy looking? 43% still. Yeah, he's turning away from us, so he's actually inadvertently putting us in his baffles. You can see his longer form is becoming a little... I don't know, he's turning back a little bit. So he's doing kind of what we're doing. He's just moving back and forth. Let's end him. Let's see. We want to use passive, and yeah, that should be fine. Firing point procedures. Bearing 218. Range 41. Firing 2-1.
Aye, sir.
Now he might start pinging away on active soon. And here is the little representation to show that we have the wire still. That guy's 9 kilometers out yet. We might give him a torpedo too after... You know what, why not? Actually, we still don't know his depth, so that would be not the smartest move. He's supposedly a little lower than us, but that could be a stretch, considering we only have like a 44% targeting solution. I'd be very surprised if they didn't know that I had launched a torpedo at this point, because of how quiet it is here. His maneuvers suggest that he might know there's a torpedo on the way, because he's turning sharply, but his speed is remaining constant, which is interesting. Now just updated the targeting solution. Well, I guess updated it because of lack of information. Yeah, because that's wrong. My torpedo's already passed the spot that I fired. So because he's making maneuvers, or perhaps I'm not maneuvering quite, there we go, quite as well, it actually, the solution was getting worse. There we go. We're getting him again. I think it was because I was staying static and I'm slowly turning to starboard now. So I'm getting a better solution on him. So let's adjust that torpedo a bit. Can I not? There we go. Because we still have the wire, so we actually can control the torpedo, which is really, really handy. Yeah, he's kicked it up to 12 knots, so he knows that something's inbound. And still don't really have a great solution on the other one. Whoops. I accidentally cut the wire on that. That's not what I wanted to do. My keyboard is very worn, and there is no R or T anymore, so I accidentally hit R instead of T. Oh well. T cycles the contacts, and R reloads the tube and cuts the wire if you're using that. So I think since I'm already out of ultra quiet now, I'm gonna fire a torpedo at the other individual as well. Firing point procedure. Bearing 256, range 6.4 kilometers. Firing tube 3, I believe.
Shoot 2-3.
Haha!
Aye, sir.
Looks like torpedo 1 has gone, well, not active, but has a lock, because he has altered course toward the other Foxtrot, which is now going 14 knots.
Con sonar, noisemaker bearing
Yep.
228.
He just dropped a noisemaker to try to confuse the torpedo. Excuse me. It's fall and I haven't been eating the best, and I think that was probably the result of a couple of snickerdoodle cookies for lunch. Yeah, we're getting pretty poor contact information on them right now. Wow, that torpedo actually got pretty well distracted by that noisemaker. Hopefully it'll fix itself.
Con sonar, noisemaker bearing 230.
And that's the second noisemaker now. I have a feeling, though, any minute now we're going to actually see that explosion off in that direction.
Con sonar, noisemaker bearing
Oh.
232.
I had my eyes on the wrong torpedo. That one's the one, number 3 there, heading in that direction. So that is, Scratch a Foxtrot. And I do believe this other one is also a Foxtrot, based off of the signature. It's amusing to me that not a single one of them have gone active yet. I mean, he's going to know his buddy's been dead. He possibly already knows that there's a torpedo inbound in his location, possibly. But he knows his buddy died. And he hasn't gone active yet. I mean, he should know his buddy died. He should have heard the explosion, and I don't know. Let's speed this up a little bit. Alright, so that Foxtrot has changed course a smidge. Let's stretch that out just a tiny bit more. Yeah, he knows now. He's got to.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
Alright. Weapon has a lock. They're so far out I don't even see that torpedo anymore. And it's still got 20 minutes of fuel left, which is hilarious. No, we don't need the, well, we can keep the wire too, it doesn't matter.
Con sonar, noisemaker bearing 249.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
We can't actually see the submarine, but we can see his relative location. And my torpedo coming in right here. There's his noisemaker
Con
down
sonar,
there.
noisemaker
There's another
bearing
noisemaker.
249.
And we can control the torpedo a bit. There we go.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
There we go. Weapons back on him.
Con sonar lost contact. Sierra 1, last bearing 249. Contact breaking up.
Looks like it was a Foxtrot. So, I do believe we have iced both of those, or all the contacts here that kind of jumped us. So let's yeah, leave combat. Oh, that one was a Romeo. My bad. Excellent initiative. However, that was not your target. No, it wasn't. But I did get jumped on my way to. I didn't even see a contact there. Let's keep our distance. And load a torpedo up. Actually, on the off chance that there are surface vessels here. Nah, there shouldn't be surface vessels. There really shouldn't. We would have seen them.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
Alright, so we got another fairly quiet situation here. And no layer at all, but holy cow, look at the depth. There was always a really neat feature in the Silent Hunter 3 where you could, I forget what the hotkey was, but I think it was your sonar man would ping down toward the depth, or whatever the case may be, to give you the depth under keel. I kind of would like that feature in this game if it isn't, and I'm already in it, and I just haven't been aware of it. Alright, just because I'm not 100% sure, we're going to come up to periscope depth, actually.
Make depth 50 feet, dive by.
Here we go.
Make depth 5 feet, dive by.
Just because I'm curious. I mean, if there were surface contacts, we'd probably be hearing active sonar already. So I'm pretty sure that this is just another submarine group that happened to chance upon us.
Con sonar new contact bearing 026. Designated Sierra 1.
Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely a sub. And I'm gonna. That can't be a Delta 4 or a 3. Could be an Oscar. Man. A lot of submarines with a very similar signature there. I'm gonna label it as a Victor 3.
Con sonar Sierra 1 is classified as submerged submarine.
I don't think that's a Victor 3. I really don't think that's a Victor 3. That's a big boat. This is depth.
Con sonar Sierra 1 is cavitating.
He's cavitating. Oop.
Make turns for 5 knots. Maneuvering aye.
There's no way he's up at the surface.
Con, dive at 150 feet, dive by.
going kind of head on right now, which I'm not a fan of. It could be very well that he has at least an idea of where I'm at, and that's why he turned course in my direction.
Make depth 200 feet, dive by.
So I'm gonna get ready, because as soon as I have a pretty solid targeting solution, which it's very nearly there already, I have a feeling I'm gonna be firing a torpedo at this guy.
Dive at 200 feet, dive by.
Right. I think it's time. He's closing in. Firing point procedure, bearing 008, range 006, range 2 kilometers. Firing 2-1.
2-1. Aye, sir.
Now, if that doesn't result in him firing back or going active, I'm going to be surprised. Yep, there he is. He's on active. So I'm going to actually start lowering the boat a little bit
Make
here.
depth 250 feet, dive by. Make depth 300 feet, dive by.
Now the one annoying thing is if he does have buddies in the area, and I'm sure he does, he's got his back to me, but he could still be relaying my position to his teammates, was his allies. Okay, we do have... It was a Victor 3. Wow, good identification there.
Dive at 300 feet, dive by.
Yeah, he is hoofing it. He's just banging away on that active, trying to figure out where the heck I fired that torpedo from. It actually is quite possible he might be the only one out here, but to my understanding, during the Cold War, the Soviets tended to have at least 2 submarines in a group usually. I mean, the Victor 3 is a fairly, pretty modern submarine at this stage in the war, but still think you might have a friendly escort or so. And it's possible, too, because I'm in his baffles, him banging away on active isn't really going to give him any information as to where I am. The fact that the torpedo's coming up from behind him would probably be a good indication, but... Man, he is hoofing it. Torpedo should be able to keep up with him, though.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
Alright, I'm gonna cut the wire. Does look like our torpedo is gaining on him.
Con, fire control, weapon countermeasure homing.
Yeah, it's not going to keep the torpedo at bay for terribly long.
Con, torpedo room, tube 1 ready.
He almost... I mean, my solution's dying down, but he almost turned a complete U-turn by the look of it. Yeah, that solution's really getting bad. But I'm confident the torpedo will still get him.
Con sonar, noisemaker, bearing
Yep.
355.
Goodbye, Victor. Leave combat. There was just the one Victor 3. Good job, but this wasn't your mission. Yeah, I'm aware. Been trying to get to my mission objective for a while now. Oh, I don't think that's our group. No, I'm gonna keep my distance yet again. I like that loadout. And
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
oh, is this very shallow water? It really is. Alright, well. Yep, surface contacts. Periscope
Make
depth.
4, 5 feet, dive by. Con, dive at 4, 5 feet, dive by.
Okay, so periscope was...
Raise the ESM
Nope,
mast.
not ESM.
Raise the radar
Nope,
mast.
not radar.
Upscope.
There we go. Alright, so... should be still pretty fairly far out there. Aha! Forget what the, hang on. Mark target I. Should have known that. Come on. That's annoying. Apparently too far away to mark. I could see him.
Con sonar,
There we
master 2 is classified as escort.
There's another master. relatively close to that. Might be quite a bit further back. Well, that Krevac is quite a distance out there.
Downscope.
Yeah, let's get the periscope down.
Make depth 250 feet. Dive by.
Kind of tempted to I was thinking about just throwing out the moss there to try to get them to chase after that, but at the same time, I'd really want to keep that for the mission.
Con, dive at 250 feet. Dive by. Make depth 5 feet. Dive by. Upscope.
He's bearing 220. There he is. The other vessel should be there we go.
Con sonar, Master 1 is
Two
classified
Krevacs.
as escort.
Downscope.
So we got 2 Krevacs.
Con, dive at 5 feet. Dive by.
I forget if they have access to helicopters. Doesn't look like it. Oop. That's not at all what I wanted to do. Go away. There we go. Neither of them are going particularly fast. But they're still pretty decently far out there. A torpedo's not going to get to them in a timely manner. Interesting. Somehow I minimized the window without trying to minimize the window. What I'd like to do is close the gap to the first Krevac, Master 2, enough that I can fire a torpedo at him and the other one simultaneously. But right now, he's 15 kilometers out. Oh man, that's a beautiful ship. He's about 15 kilometers out and his buddy's about 21 kilometers out. And yeah, he doesn't have a helicopter, which is good. But he does have these, I believe these are the missile-launched torpedoes. I could be wrong. Could just be rockets of some sort, too. Yeah. Looks like they're turning in my general direction. Not turning away, actually. Definitely turning away. No, he's turning around. That maneuver actually, that he just performed, actually may have helped me get both of them within range to fire a torpedo simultaneously. Yeah, that's a false read. Let's
Upscope.
lift the periscope again. Establish contact with him once more.
Downscope.
Really don't know what they're doing over there. It's very unusual. They're kind of doing maneuvers around each other. Huh. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Ambient noise is very quiet. Starting to lose contact again.
Upscope.
Ooh, he went active again, so...
Downscope.
Their behavior is very erratic.
Upscope. Downscope.
They're not speeding up or anything, so... Really doesn't look like they know I'm here yet. 'Cause they seem to really like that spot, because they're just kind of circling around it. Yeah, if I was a little closer, those are two very tempting targets. Yeah, they're still pretty far out there.
Upscope. Downscope. Upscope. Downscope. Upscope.
Where'd the other one go? There he is.
Downscope.
Well, he is within 9 kilometers now, so they have split off. Oh, they just picked up speed.
Upscope.
Let's get one final read on them, and then I think I'm going to fire some torpedoes.
Downscope.
Maybe not. Doesn't really look like they're, I mean, I'm sure they know that there's something out here, but I could be wrong. Alright, I think we're gonna get another read.
Upscope.
Well, I have no idea where the other one went. There we go.
Downscope.
I think it's time to torpedo it up.
Shoot 2-1. Aye, sir. Shoot 2-3. Aye, sir.
Make depth 200 feet. Dive by.
And based off that Krivak's reaction, I'm very fair to say that they heard that.
depth 300 feet, dive I. Con, dive at 300 feet, dive I.
Doesn't look like either of them obtained a good enough read on my position to fire a counter barrage. Because that's the one, I think that's probably the biggest surface to submersible fear that I have in this game, is their rocket propelled, or their rocket launched torpedoes. So they actually fire a rocket out at you in your general direction, and that rocket drops a torpedo in the water, so they could deliver a torpedo to you a lot quicker than your torpedoes can get to them. And they are currently just hoofing it through the water. Almost looks like they're outrunning the torpedoes. Alright, I'm just gonna let the torpedoes go active.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
That one found his target, the other one not so much yet.
Con, fire control,
There we go.
weapon acquired.
So now that they got locks, I'm gonna reload.
Con, torpedo room, tube 1 ready.
Con, fire control, weapon countermeasure homing.
Con sonar, noisemaker bearing 245. Con sonar,
That's one
lost
crew
contact.
back down.
Master 2, last bearing 243. Contact breaking up. Con sonar, lost contact.
Second crew back
Master
down.
1, last bearing 279. Contact breaking up.
Nice! Excellent initiative, however this wasn't your mission of target. Yeah, I'm aware. That might be them over there, though. Belgium falls to the Reds. Belgium has fallen to Soviet control after crushing assaults on the nation's capital and key strategic points. Yep. Where is that? Oh, well, either they found us or we found them. Hard to say. Let's, close at 20 or 15. And just because we're not 100% sure what it is, let's load one harpoon.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
Alright, let's go to periscope depth.
Make depth 4, 5 feet, dive by.
No contacts.
Con sonar regained contact on Sierra 1, bearing 298.
I'm guessing it's a sub, actually. I don't know, that's an unfamiliar one to me. Ooh, what do we have here? Oh, this might be my objective.
Con sonar Sierra 1 is classified as merchant.
That is a submarine tender, I do believe. So let's go ahead and load another harpoon and another harpoon. And why not? Let's make it a fourth harpoon.
Con sonar new contact bearing 301, designated Sierra 2.
This one. Yeah, we do have warships in the area. Looks like a cash-in.
Con sonar Sierra 2 is classified as escort.
Alright, well, let's get that periscope up. Let's get eyes on... They're about the same bearing, so 300 and 299.
Up scope.
Con, torpedo room, tube 2 ready.
Alright.
Down scope.
We've got two
Con
torpedoes.
sonar Master 2 is classified as escort.
What's a Krevac? Well. Oh, wait.
Con, dive at 4, 5 feet, dive by.
I'm gonna launch the first one at the Krevac.
Shoot 2-3. Aye, sir. Shoot 2-2. Aye, sir.
And we're gonna make, because they're gonna know where we're at from that, go down to about 500 depth.
Make depth 5, 0, 0 feet,
Yeah,
dive by.
that's gonna give it away a little bit, I would think. I mean, you could kinda, I think that's my smoke plumes over there from the launches. So we should see the first one, possibly see the first one,
Con, torpedo room, tube 1 ready.
buzz past this one and go right for the Krevac. Oh, yep, there's the Krevac launching a counter missile, so let's
Make turns for
I can hear the missiles.
5 knots. Maneuvering eye.
Oop. He's about to get hit.
Con sonar
Yep.
lost contact. Master
Ooh, he
2,
survived.
last bearing 2.
Interesting. Well,
Con maneuvering. Making turns for 5 knots.
we need to worry about the counter right now. I should
Make turns
full
for
speed.
2. Make turns for 5 knots. Maneuvering eye.
Con sonar lost contact. Master 1, last bearing 302. Contact faded.
Good news is if we could get away from where that first torpedo is going to land.
Con, dive at 500 feet, dive by.
Which I'm thinking we're just going to go even deeper, to be honest. 750, why not?
Make depth 750 feet, dive by.
We should be able to outrun at depth that Kazbek. And I could shoot up to about 150 feet and then launch another harpoon at him and finish him off. But what I'm concerned about is where that torpedo is going to land. Oh, I just heard it hit the water.
Con, sonar, torpedo in the water, torpedo in the water, bearing 280.
Boy, that was a good shot.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
Nope, not. Don't go ultra quiet on me. Nope.
Make turns for 5 knots, maneuvering aye. Make turns for 25 knots, maneuvering aye.
We need to get up above this thing. He predicted my movements almost perfectly. Oh, wow. Maybe not so perfectly.
Passing 700 feet.
If we can, let's see, let's set the depth.
Passing 600 feet.
If we can
Make depth 150
get above this thing.
feet, dive by.
Nope, it did swing back around, so it does have a lock again. Son of a bitch.
Con, sonar, lost contact. Master 1, last bearing, con, sonar. We are cavitating.
Oh, yeah. Well, right now I'm not worried about cavitation.
Passing 300 feet.
Con, torpedo room, tube 4 ready.
Make depth 800 feet, dive by. Con, knuckle
Locked right back
formed.
on.
Con, sonar, no longer cavitating.
Con, maneuvering, making turns for 25 knots.
Con, knuckle formed. Make depth 150 feet, dive by. Con, knuckle formed.
So the knuckles are actually something that
Con, knuckle
you
formed.
create from going so fast and your rudder's moving back and forth from a sharp turn, and it provides a very momentary distraction for the torpedo, but
Con, knuckle formed.
it's very, very momentary.
Con,
Con, sonar, we are cavitating.
That's alright.
passing 300 feet. Make depth 750 feet, dive by.
We need to stop cavitating.
Con sonar, no longer cavitating.
That was actually perfectly timed with the lack of cavitation there. That might get me away, but I doubt it. We're not diving quite fast enough. Yeah, he's back on.
Con, knuckle formed. Make depth 250 feet, dive by. Con, knuckle formed. Con, knuckle formed. Make depth 800 feet, dive I.
We may have gotten away with this. Because I made a little bit of a circle
Con,
of
knuckle formed.
noisemakers there. Yeah, I think we're good. The problem is our contact is way the heck over there, so we need to kind of swing it back around. Really? He's got a lock on me again. Nope, nope, gone. Too many noisemakers over there. Nice. That was actually some pretty good maneuverability there. I'm pleasantly surprised. It's got a lock again. I think it's got to be running out of steam soon because this surface launched ones usually, or the rocket propelled ones usually don't.
Con, dive at 800 feet, dive I.
Don't have a ton of fuel on them to make it easier to actually be able to transport them. So they're smaller torpedoes. Oh, let's they're back up to 200.
Make depth 200 feet, dive
There we go.
I.
So, alright, excellent. Let's, not do that then.
Make depth 500 feet, dive I.
Alright, so, we want to head in this direction and fire another harpoon.
Make depth 400 feet, dive I.
Make turns for 10 knots. Maneuvering I.
Make depth 100 feet, dive I.
Get to 10 and fire a harpoon in that general
Con,
direction.
maneuvering. Making turns for 10 knots.
Actually, we could go periscope, to be honest.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
Let's go periscope
Make
depth.
depth 5 feet, dive I.
Let's guarantee a lock on him and then just fire the missile and watch it carry to the target.
Upscope.
His bearing is 313. There he is.
Downscope. Shoot 2-1. Aye, sir.
Oh yeah, you can see him listing a bit where he got hit from the first torpedo.
Con, dive at 5 feet, dive I.
He doesn't really have any defenses right now, and we must have did some engine damage too, because if I would have been hit by a harpoon,
Upscope.
I would have been making a much better time than he's doing right now. Yeah, he's crippled. I can hear the missile. There it is.
Con sonar lost contact. Master 1. Last bearing 314. Contact breaking up.
And that might have been my objective. Hopefully the crew was wise enough to start abandoning ship after the first hit. Considering we still have, I think those are lifeboats on there. It's looking like not so much. Yeah, there's a lifeboat back there. Right here. I don't know what those are. There's got to be some other type of rescue or lifeboat type thing. Right, well, that concludes the mission, I do believe. Good to hear that you intercepted and destroyed the enemy replenishment resources. Keep up the good work. Further orders will be transmitted on this downlink. Stand by for orders. Yeah. Secretary of the Navy expresses its heartfelt congratulations and takes great pleasure in awarding the Bronze Star to Commander Kalinran Ready Aimfire, commanding officer of the Narwhal. Commander Kalinran Ready Aimfire is cited for an extraordinary heroism in the act against his enemies in the United States of America on the 2nd of January 1985. His unwavering resolve and self-sacrificing devotion to duty in the face of death are worthy of the highest emulation. Yeah, boy. Quiet seas. NATO warships and submarines have taken up several new strategic positions, including some around the Greenland Sea, in response to significantly reduced Soviet naval activity. Sources close to the Pentagon say the war is taking a heavy toll on enemy naval operations and that their supply lines continue to be heavily strained. Nice. Alright, well, that's a wrap.